I'm just adjusting my mic. I know that there's audio issues. And some people can hear me breathing. So I let myself sleep in, and that means I don't make coffee for myself this morning. I normally do that because coffee is very expensive after a while. I just spent $5 on coffee. So my little sleep in cost me $5. And I only slept in an hour. Really only about 45 minutes, because at a certain point I just can't sleep anymore. I used it all up. And we're leaving the Flying J. This is where we slept. And this is what 9 o'clock in the morning looks like. And this is what a rolling stop looks like.
In 400 meters, turn right on Highway 46.
Yeah. Yeah. Here comes the rig. That was the company last night that I saw doing a switch on two sides of the Trans-Canada Highway. That's like doing a switch on a United States freeway. And one of the trucks was too lazy to go around the proper way. So what he did was he started coming the wrong way down the Trans-Canada Highway. Yeah. He comes the wrong way, and he's coming right at me. And his partner, because they're driving in teams, he's not even inside of his truck, and he's chasing after his truck so the truck doesn't leave him. In case the truck driver thinks he's in the sleeper berth, and he links up to his trailers across the Trans-Canada Highway and then leaves without him. So he's running down the Trans-Canada Highway after his truck. One of the stupidest things I've ever seen. I wanted to laugh, but it just seemed like the inappropriate thing to do. That's the sound of me missing my post. She slipped out of fourth. There's your fifth. No. See, it doesn't want to go in. She slips out. Doesn't want to go into fifth. All of these internationals do this. There, I clunked it in. Let's hit the road. I'll tell you some stories about a Houseman Blues. His name is Mr. Hollywood. So yeah, the other rig truck was on the other side of the Trans-Canada. I don't know if that guy was too lazy to drive the wrong way Maybe he didn't have to. But the one driver on my side, that was the stupidest thing you could ever do. Well, I guess we've all been there. We've all done it. They were switching out, what do you call them? Highway trains. 2 trailers. Flying J Colombian coffee. They're not giving it away. $5. That's for 2 larges, by the way. Pardon me. So we're going to use the Saskatchewan bypass, and the GPS is going to go crazy. It's a Garmin diesel 6-inch screen, I believe. It just got updated, so we'll see. Excuse me. Excuse me, all you new peoples. Well, it's turning out to be a pretty day for July 11, 2021, in the middle of a pandemic. Most Canadians are now vaccinated. We got a few holdouts up in the mountains there and up north. Mostly farmers, and we're going to be talking about farmers today. People have been asking me, what do you got against farmers? I said, really, I don't. There are things about agriculture that I don't like. And one of them is the fact that you didn't need to put a farm there in the first place. If you would have maintained that ecosystem, life would have continued on, and you could have harvested from that ecosystem, not from agriculture. There would have been plenty of life. Plenty. Before the farmers came, there were many nations on this land. And what we call a nation today, you didn't even have the concept of it when farmers arrived. No clue what a nation was. You knew what an empire was, and you served the king and all of the lords. Hence the word landlord. You paid rent to the lords because you were a serf, and you farmed the land for the lord. And you paid taxes heavily, and you usually died of starvation. But when farmers came to North America, they learned about a new concept called sovereignty. It was a new concept. It meant freedom, independence, liberation, all from the king. And you paid taxes to yourself, not the king. And you learned that from all the different nations that were living here before you arrived. You learned things like sanitation. Totally revolutionized your world. And you learn how to take a bath. The benefits of cleaning your teeth. You learned all that from what you then called savages, and some of you are still calling us savages. It totally revolutionized your way of life, sanitation. It's what's saving you from the global pandemic right now. You're killing the germs. By washing your hands. That's sanitation. You would have never had women's liberation or emancipation because farmers are from Europe and other places. They were patriarchal, meaning the man was the head of the household, the man, the male, and it wasn't his daughters that took over the empire, it was his sons. That all comes from agriculture. So it's not like I'm against agriculture. I just happen to know the stuff that runs contrary, the knowledge that runs contrary to the phony stories people tell each other about agriculture and farmland and farms, how it's dairy fresh from the farm, fresh clean eggs, bread. Yeah. Hard work too. That hard work story. That's another one. That's another story we all tell ourselves. We're proud of the hard work that goes into farming and agriculture. There's some sort of value in that work. Sweating. The Bible says, by the sweat of your brow you will eat your meat. The Bible says, I guess I should get in the right lane but keep left. I do see a four-wheeler behind me. Moose Jaw, Regina, Victoria Avenue, West. We're going to take the bypass. Apparently this road is stolen land. You should see a sign up ahead. There's a bunch of people who are protesting the fact that the city of Regina has just gone ahead and imposed itself and taken away the farmland from the farmers. They stole the land from the farmers, and I'm being facetious here because farmers stole the land from Aboriginal people. That'll be the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. But now they're mad because the city just absconded the land from them here to build this highway, this bypass. And that baseball emporium. Well, the farmers are upset. Someone's upset out here. Stolen land, it said. I saw the sign. You should see it. At least he's wearing high visibility clothing. There's a few cyclists I've seen out here risking their lives with no high visibility clothing, and they don't know how they could get squished like a bug. I'll be honest with you. Even I sometimes take my eyes off the road to grab my water down below. I try not to do that, but it happens. Next thing you know, you're hearing rumble strips and you're jumping back up. You don't want to be squishing one of those people. I think they call that vehicular homicide or manslaughter. Anyways, stolen land and farmers. There's a sign around here somewhere. You can even call. Find out more. On the Regina bypass. It's about the same distance if you go through the city. It's 15 minutes through the city. It's 15 minutes using the bypass. You meet up at precisely the same time. By going around. So anyways, the farm is not an ecosystem. It totally destroys ecosystems. They're starting to understand that now, to give them credit. It is 2021. They're finally getting it. They have GPS tracking devices on all of their farm equipment now, so they can farm better and not use up as much fuel. I guess they're using cleaner fuel. They say farmers feed the world, but I don't really believe that either. From what I've read about farming, they're mostly not feeding the world. There's less nutrition in what they're producing in their crops. People in the United States are eating, but they're not eating nutrition. They're starving. And that's happening all over the world. Farmers are for profit. And they will produce a crop. They don't care how nutritious it is. All they care about is the yield, how much they're going to get out of the land. It's not like I'm anti-farming though. I'm against farmers. I hate farmers. I don't. I met a couple of them. They seem downright happy. I've seen a couple of signs on a couple of farms. You see them every once in a while. Well, that farm's for sale. Or at least that wheat's for sale. Or hay, whatever it is. They say things like, "Take my hand, not my life." That's pro-life signs I'm seeing. All on farmland. They're anti-abortion. And I saw another sign on a farm that said, "Pray for revival. Pray for revival." Oh, it's not for me, because I'm not a believer. Oh, that turn was... I just got shoved over there by the highway. I'm not anti-Christ. I'm just, you know, I grew up in a family that was very Christian. Holy jeez, I may as well just stay in the left lane here with all these cyclists. Here's an example of someone wearing almost nothing that's high vis. You know, it helps if you wear high visibility. It does. I can see you better. There goes Raj Trucking. Raj. So yeah, this is a good day. We talked about farmers and the stories and the myths that they tell themselves, and they perpetuate that like it's indoctrination. In Canada, it's indoctrination because it's not true. It's just not true. Most of the stories they tell themselves are not true. They romanticize, they fantasize, they delusion themselves, and they pass that story on to their children, so they're literally lying to their own children. And they tell their children these complete and utter nonsensical fantasies. And then their children grow up and tell their children the same fantasies. None of it's true. It's not true. Almost all of it's total fantasy and fabrication. It's not true. Yeah, you work hard. Yeah, there's value in your hard work. It comes back in returns of capitalism and profit. And you worked hard, and you send your kids off to university so that they don't have to become farmers or to become better farmers. Because at the University of Manitoba we have the Faculty of Agriculture. Farming has become like quite a science over here. But really, you got to stop telling that myth. The myth of hard work and the myth of how you've been here for generations. Your family's been here for generations, as if Aboriginal people were not here living on this land, making use of this land before you. In fact, you tell the story that there was nothing here before you, before the farmers. There was nothing here before the farmer. But there was. There were nations of people. And they knew how to take care of the land without destroying it with a farm. They harvested and fed far more people than there are today. Taking care of the land the way they did. And they did that for a millennia. And you wouldn't have showers, or even the concept of showers, if it weren't for them. So, I just know the reality and the truth of it. And I just want to tell that story because it's not a story people want to hear. They like that myth. They like that. It's very Christmassy, those stories. Very Christmassy. Farmers feed the world. Oh, thank God for farmers. Jesus wasn't a farmer. Jesus was a carpenter. Or Yeshua, whatever you want to say. So anyways, if you're gonna tell a story, tell the truth. Be honest. Because you have some value in telling the truth. I know you do. Farmers They have integrity. They do have it. They do understand the concept of it. Agriculture people, they have the understanding and concept of honesty, integrity, truth. And if if they just told the story the way it's supposed to be told, the way it really is, and what really happened here, well, you wouldn't have people like me correcting you. I'm not here to be an asshole. I'm here to just tell you what really happened. It don't take much to go to the library and take out some books and read about it.
In 2 kilometers, take the exit on the left.
Nowadays, all you got to do is Google search it. You could spend probably a good 5-10 hours Google searching how agriculture originated, where it originates from, how it's expansive, how it facilitated the building of empires, what its role it had in the history of the world, how it contributed to wars. How it contributed to corruption and manipulation. You read all about that. Spend 5-10 hours a day just Googling it. You'll find articles and articles and articles. It just won't stop. Or you could go to the library like I did and spend 10 hours a day there reading all about it. That's what I did. I was so fascinated as making connections. Wow, that happened, and then this happened. Well, the farmers are here, and there's not a goddamn thing we can do about it. They're here, they're rich, they're powerful, but they're phony as hell. And they're liars and backstabbers as well. But they have their good moments. Maybe not Gerald Stanley and his whole family, but and the whole community of Saskatchewan. Farming community, that is. You know, the RCMP here in Regina, the only reason why Regina became a city is because they wanted to set up the RCMP headquarters right here where they fought the Métis. And they even named a town of Wolseley after them. And Wolseley contributed to the history of Métis people we call the Reign of Terror, where Wolseley's men would rape, pillage, and ethnically cleanse Métis from the area, so-called protecting the farmer from the Indian, because that's what they called Métis people back then, Indians, half-breeds. Are you an Indian? Yes, I am an Indian.